faithfully delivering value, exploring great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally with the book review. The book I'll interpret for you today is called Just Listen, with the subtitle The Secret to Communicating with Everyone. If you urgently need to communicate with someone right now, but you have no idea what to do about them, this person could be your rebellious teenage child who puts on an isolated attitude, blocking all your words. This person could be your stubborn boss who completely blames you for the project failure and refuses to hear your explanation. This person could also be your nagging partner who gets stuck in negative emotions and makes the family atmosphere chaotic. This person could also be your newly acquired client who responds coldly to your enthusiasm and doesn't trust you at all. You've tried everything, reasoning logically, appealing emotionally, threatening or bribing, or just losing your temper, but nothing worked. Your heart is in turmoil, full of frustration, thinking, what should I do? Facing so many thorny problems in life, is there really a way to communicate with everyone? As a cross-disciplinary communication expert, the book's author, Mark Golston, combines his over 30 years of clinical experience as a psychiatrist with communication issues in work and life, summarizing a method to communicate with anyone. Listening. With this unique approach, he became a trainer for U.S. police and FBI, serving big names like Goldman Sachs, IBM, FedEx, and Deutsche Bank. He's also been invited as a special guest on Wall Street Journal, Fortune, Reuters, NPR, and The Oprah Winfrey Show, teaching skills to handle complex relationships and guiding people to solve tough problems by learning to listen. Next, I'll explain this book in two parts. First, why listening is so important. Second, how we should listen. Many think speaking is most crucial in communication, not listening. But the author believes listening is far more important in interpersonal interactions. So why is listening so important? This is the first question we'll cover today. You might recall what usually blocks communication. Maybe emotions like anger or frustration or endless complaints or biases. Why does all this make people unreasonable, unable to listen, and hard to communicate with? Neuroscience shows that under specific emotions, the brain develops physiological defenses against communication, affecting communicative abilities. There are two main physiological defenses: amygdala hijacking and mirror neuron reception deficiency. Listening is the most crucial way to help the brain shed these physiological defenses. Sounds complex, right? Don't worry, I'll explain it step by step. First, let's discuss how listening helps the brain escape amygdala hijacking. The amygdala is the brain region responsible for instinctive reactions, while areas like the frontal lobe handle rational thinking. For example, when someone experiences intense fear, anger, or sadness, the amygdala hijacks the frontal lobe like a bandit, blocking rational thought and forcing instinct-driven actions. At this point, no logical argument works because they simply can't process it. Recall when you're furious or grief-stricken. Don't you say impulsive things or act rashly? Doesn't clear thinking only return after emotions settle? If you answered yes, your amygdala hijacked you. So, how can we quickly soothe these emotions? The author believes proper listening acts like an emotional faucet, releasing pressure, relaxing the amygdala, and freeing higher brain regions so rationality returns. Only then can communication resume. Thus, listening is communication's first and most vital step. Next, let's explore how listening treats mirror neuron reception deficiency. First, what are mirror neurons? Simply put, they're neurons that make you empathize when others experience things, like feeling nervous watching someone bungee jump. Hearing about others' tragedies makes you tear up. Research suggests these neurons likely form empathy's foundation. So what is mirror neuron reception deficiency? Typically, when you empathize with others, you naturally expect mirrored empathy in return, meaning you want them to empathize with you too. If this longing goes unmet, you'll develop mirror neuron reception deficiency. If others lack empathy toward you, others here could mean a specific person. For example, Xiaoning just learned his mother is seriously ill, but his boss, Jack, knowing this, only discusses work with him. Zhao Ming then believes Jack lacks empathy and will only respond with perfunctory answers or anger during communication. It could also mean everyone. Take Jim, who always helps colleagues but gets no aid when he's in trouble. Jim then believes all colleagues lack empathy, even that everyone lacks empathy toward him. Thus, he becomes hostile toward everyone, inevitably hindering communication. If you try listening now, it signals you're attempting to understand their emotions and share their feelings. This satisfies their need for others to empathize with them. Once you resolve their mirror neuron deficiency, by making them feel your empathy, communication miracles happen. You might ask, both cases target people with physiological brain defenses. Then why does presenting facts to calm people often fail too? Remember, everyone has unspeakable secrets, and modern society brings unprecedented pressure. To self-protect or save face, people build mental fortresses, usually locked to all. How do we open them? The author concludes, listening is the only way to make people voluntarily open their hearts, like gently knocking. Your listening intent conveys goodwill, making them open the door, exchange pleasantries, then lower defenses to share their story.
If you skip knocking and try changing their mind with facts before they accept you,
It's like jumping through their window uninvited while expecting hospitality. Reasonable? Anyone would feel offended. So only when people truly open their hearts to accept you do you get the chance to achieve the next goal, persuading them. All right, now we know listening is indeed crucial. It's not only the most vital way to help the brain shed physiological defenses, but also the only method to make people voluntarily open their hearts and accept you. So how should we listen?
you might say, isn't listening just about hearing others speak?
Does that even need to be learned? Absolutely, because the listening the author describes is vastly different from what most understand as auditory hearing. Next, I'll explain how to listen in 3 steps. The first step is preparing to listen, requiring 2 preparations. First, quickly adjust your own emotions. This is straightforward. When facing chaos, if you can't control your own emotions, communication will inevitably fail. Easier said than done, since communication often comes with pressure. Handling a furious client, enduring a tough job interview, or dealing with a difficult child, all can overwhelm your emotions and disable rational thinking. The worst part? Before reason returns, your instinctive reactions may have already offended your boss, lost a deal, or scared a child. So speed is critical. The faster you adjust emotions, the better prepared you'll be to truly listen, preventing foot-and-mouth disasters. So how do we quickly adjust emotions? The author believes we must first listen to ourselves to prevent amygdala hijacking. Specifically, follow these 4 steps. First, when crisis hits, acknowledge bad emotions instead of denying them. Imagine rational and irrational voices in your mind. Picture 2 inner figures. The rational one must quickly tell the irrational one, you're deeply disappointed or you're furious right now. Recognizing bad emotions is step 1 of self-listening. Second, once identified, release emotions immediately. How to release? If possible, close your eyes. If not, look at your desk or shoes while taking deep breaths. If that doesn't work, you can cry. Don't be embarrassed. Tears are the best outlet for bad emotions. This step helps release them and lets the irrational little figure in your mind relax. Third, now the rational little figure in your mind has gained the upper hand. You finally clearly realize that person across from you might be your boss or client you can't afford to offend, or perhaps your beloved partner or child, someone you must never hurt. Finally, the irrational little figure steps down. Reason regains control, and you've conquered your impulsive instincts. Once you're calm, at least things won't be ruined by your impulsiveness. The second preparation for listening is removing colored glasses, setting aside prejudices against others. The founder of a LA communication firm found people typically define others by gender, age, nationality, or race, education level, then emotional state. Psychologically, this is stereotyping others. Often stereotypes help us avoid danger and trouble. Like on the subway, intuition says avoid the scruffy, shifty-eyed guy, but sit near the old lady with a knitting bag. Most times, judgments from past experiences and intuition are correct. But have you considered that weirdo might be just a lonely, lazy homebody, while that old lady could be a terrorist with weapons in her bag?
What does this show?
It shows our brains prefer snap judgments based on past knowledge over pausing to analyze.
Right conclusions help, wrong ones become prejudice. So, how do we drop prejudice during communication? The simplest way, when someone seems unreasonable, firmly believe there's a reason. Maybe a loved one's health crisis has them distraught. Or perhaps they're terrified of your judgment, so they act sensitive or combative. When you remove those colored glasses, stubborn people seem less stubborn, annoying ones less annoying, and you become ready to truly listen. Now that you're fully prepared to listen, let's explore the next steps. The second step is to grasp the 3 principles of listening. The first principle is to make the other person feel understood. Why is feeling understood so important? The best explanation is the mirror neuron phenomenon I mentioned earlier. When you say, I understand how you feel, they feel warmth and comfort, become grateful, and develop a desire to understand you in return, an irresistible biological impulse. This very impulse bridges the distance between people. Whether facing a condescending client or a fierce competitor, you can use this. Making them feel understood eases tensions and even turns foes into friends. Convey understanding through these steps. First, carefully discern their emotions. Are they feeling frustrated?
Or sad and angry, then voice the emotion you perceive. Wait for confirmation, correction. Next, ask, why do you feel sad?
Or why do you feel frustrated right now? Prepare for an emotional outpouring. They've likely bottled it up for ages. Just listen. No commenting or defending. Finally ask, what can I do to make you feel better? After these 4 steps, their emotions are vented and your understanding is conveyed. They'll then genuinely hear your perspective, leading to mutual agreement. Try this next time you argue with your partner. Surprisingly simple, right? Everyone, no matter how difficult, is flesh and blood, yearning to be understood. Meet that need proactively. You'll transform from stranger or enemy into friend or ally. The second principle, make them feel you're genuinely interested in them. Before explaining why, imagine this scenario. One day, you retrieve 2 letters from friends. The first says, my husband just became VP, youngest in company history. Our eldest's soccer team won the provincial championship. Our youngest got standing ovation as lead in the Nutcracker.
Oh, I'm so proud I could cry.
By the way, I've started ballroom dancing and art baking. Hope you're well too. Would love to visit sometime. Then you open another letter saying, hey, have you been? My husband and I saw this beat-up bike that looked just like your college one. What happened to that beast? Oh, did your daughter apply to music school?
We've been listening to that tape she recorded last year. Gets me emotional every time.
Can't wait to see her on TV. Us, same old, working hard, earning little. Let's catch up soon. Clearly, the first couple's life seems more exciting.
But if I asked which couple you'd invite over, who'd you choose?
Chances are you'd pick the second couple, right? Not only would you skip inviting the first, they'd likely become arrogant nuisances in your eyes.
Why is that?
Isn't the first couple's life objectively more interesting? Absolutely, but we rarely care how interesting others' lives are. We care if they're interested in us. So in conversations, don't rush to showcase yourself. Give others the stage. The more deeply they share, the more interested they'll think you are. The stronger feeling activates their mirror neurons. After sharing their story, they'll naturally care about yours. Now, the third principle, make others feel valued. This satisfies self-esteem more than being understood or interesting. Sincerely acknowledging their crucial work, valuable contributions, or importance makes their self-worth soar. When people feel good about themselves, they view everything, including you, more favorably. Making liked people feel valued is easy. But how do you make annoying people, complainers, nitpickers, hotheads, feel valuable? You might think, why bother making those jerks feel valued? What value could they possibly have? Their value is this: if you make them feel important, they'll at least stop bothering you. Difficult, hard to please people share one trait. They often feel unnoticed and insignificant. They suffer severe mirror neuron deficiency. The more people avoid them, the worse it gets. Clueless about why, they cope poorly by creating trouble for others, but satisfy their need for importance, and they might surprise you. Imagine a manager position opens up and you fear that sharp-tongued colleague might sabotage you. Privately tell them, your support means everything to me. You always give sharp, incisive insights. I truly hope you'll back me this time. Affirming their value might unlock their honest thoughts. Crucially, they'll likely stop badmouthing or undermining you, maybe even vote for you. These 3 principles aim to awaken your empathy, meeting others' psychological needs by stepping into their shoes. Empathy creates the foundation for successful communication. Now to step 3, mastering 4 listening techniques. First, saying no for them. Seems counterintuitive. Don't we want yes? Why say no for them? Because when you voice their no, they'll say yes, creating momentum-shifting agreements. Say a rebellious 18-year-old wants to move in with her boyfriend. What should parents do? Best approach, voice her no's to get her yeses. Mom might say, I know you don't want oversight. You're an adult. She'll agree. Then continue. You also don't want to share about your boyfriend, fearing we won't understand. What? The daughter would likely say yes again. Her emotions are calming, so mom can press on. But you don't want this to ruin our relationship, right? The girl continues, yes, now actually starting to hear her mother. This chain of yeses transforms her attitude from resistance to agreement while emotionally preparing her for real communication. Similarly, if you want a reluctant colleague on your project, voice their no first. I know you might not want to join my team. After their first yes, add, I'm guessing you just lack confidence in this project. After several yeses, guide them to share their true thoughts. Once concerns are voiced, solutions naturally follow. The second technique, proactive vulnerability, revealing your flaws.
Many react. What? Expose weaknesses to clients and competitors?
Are you kidding me? People waste energy hiding flaws, even obvious ones, forcing others to ignore them, suppress empathy, and decode your words. Like hiding single-parent status on a date when they might know you'll never hear their truth because they'll think they're hiding something. I won't be honest either. Of course, the author isn't saying broadcast flaws to everyone. So when should you show vulnerability? First, after genuine mistakes, owning errors wins more forgiveness and respect than defensiveness. Example, showing regret for a work error makes your boss share real concerns. Now you're problem solving together. Second, when emotions overwhelm, say I'm terrified or I feel helpless instead of faking strength. This wins sympathy. Often, exposing your vulnerability makes others reveal theirs too. When you lower your guard, you hear truth more easily.
Third scenario. When you have an irreparable flaw, like a stutterer, instead of hiding it during interviews, tell the interviewer, I stutter, but it doesn't affect my skills. Proactive disclosure avoids discomfort and shows confidence.
The third listening technique, ask questions conversationally. To truly hear others' hearts, questioning is vital. But the author means questions that aren't rigid or formal. Formal questions, like your thoughts on the new policy, create tension. People guess your desired answer instead of being honest. Such questions sabotage true listening. So how should we ask? The phrasing matters less than the questioning atmosphere. The author suggests side-by-side chats, asking while doing something together. Use it, example setup, to learn why your son fought at school. Don't summon him after dinner asking, what happened? You'll get guarded resistance. Instead, ask during dinner. Not eating your favorite salmon? Poor appetite. Now the child lowers defenses, ready to discuss appetite. This opens the door to deeper listening. Crucial. Even if you disagree, don't argue. Ask follow-ups to deepen dialogue. Searson claims no appetite due to teacher's false accusation. Control yourself. Don't say security footage shows you through first punch. Just respond, oh? You might get unexpected answers. Everyone guards against those probing their true feelings. But conversational questioning lowers defenses. People think informal answers aren't binding, yet this relaxed state reveals true thoughts. The fourth listening technique is simple. Use straightforward words to help others calm down and open up. What specific simple phrases work? Well, start with basic fillers like and then, oh really, seemingly meaningless words. But when using them, never be distracted. Maintain focused eye contact. So what's the point of these empty phrases? Imagine criticizing your partner, ready to fight, when they look you in the eye and say, then what? Wouldn't you pause in confusion?
Huh? Why aren't they arguing back?
That second of confusion cools you down. You realize they're listening and letting you continue.
These simple phrases signal.
I'm listening. I want to understand. Used well, they draw out thoughts and prevent fights. Another powerful phrase, do you really mean that? This instantly makes people recognize overreactions and self-regulate emotions. When a furious salesperson rants, all my clients are idiots. Skip useless calm down lectures. Just ask, do you really mean that? Are all your clients idiotic trash? They'll likely pause, realize their exaggeration, and say, well, not all, just some annoying ones. See, one simple phrase acts like a mirror, reflecting their outburst back at them. Once calm, you can actually discuss solutions. That concludes our second question, how to listen. First, adjust your emotions, drop biases, and prepare mentally. Second, cultivate empathy through 3 principles. Make others feel understood, interesting, and valuable. Finally, apply 4 techniques. Voice their no, show vulnerability, ask questions conversationally, and use simple calming phrases. However, the author reminds us that while these methods work for most people, they're ineffective against toxic individuals like psychopaths, the greedy, opportunists, and narcissists. Yes, the best approach with such people is to escape. With that, we've covered the book's core content. In a world where everyone wants to shout, this book reveals listening as the secret to success. Listening builds emotional connections while teaching us to examine ourselves, understand others, and approach work and life with healthier positivity. All right, that concludes our interpretation of Just Listen. Reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.